Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Oh, boy. Wednesday night, you know what that means. It's time for the Mark Order Podcast here on the Shining Wizards Network until further notice. Oh, skeleton crew tonight. But it's the best group, I think, if you ask me, right? This is the best group we've got. It's the A-team of the A-team.
Double A? MCO?
It's the two live crew of the Mark Order Podcast. That's two for me, two for you. You're on the Mark Order. What is this, episode 67? Schlong, we are inching closer to sexy 69.
I would have given anything for Kate to have forgotten it was episode 69 and not made arrangements so she could be on. That would have made my night.
I'm not going to lie. I was thinking that this whole, when she let us know she wasn't going to be able to make it tonight, Hollywood stuff. I just kept thinking it's going to be perfect. It's going to be so perfect when episode 69 comes and she's like, guess what, guys? I can't make it tonight. And I'm going to be like, you pumped up episode 69 so much. And now
she's going to let us all down.
We're just going to, we're just going to have blue balls.
In fairness, at this point, is she Hollywood? I mean, she's homeless.
I mean, listen, you don't have to have a home to be Hollywood.
That's very fair.
You really don't. It's all about, I guess, while it's all about that base, it is also about that mindset. You know what I mean?
Christ.
You didn't even break into song. You're fucking losing it, man. You're losing it.
It took me a second to figure out where you were going with that one.
You're losing it. Anyway, it's AntMoney. It's Ryan Schlong. As I said, the two live crew tonight here on the Mark Order Podcast. Kate's doing something. Don't know what. She's preoccupied. And Matt said the same thing. So it's all good. We don't expect Matt much over the summer anyway. You know what I'm saying? So the times when Matt is like, I can be there, it's so exciting when we find out early that he's able to join us.
Yeah, in the summer, it's more of a shock when he can, because that truck is a demanding bitch.
It is an unruly bitch that demands all of his time. But, he really, he gives it his all out there on the pizza truck. So Schlong, what's good? What's happening? How was your 4th of July? Can you hold up your hands? Do you still have all your fingers? Okay, you got all your fingers. You're doing jazz hands.
I'm not. I went with jazz hands over doing something like this, where it's like, yeah, I have all my fingers. Did you see the video going online of the car blowing up?
I did not.
Oh my god, it's been retweeted by a bunch of places. So like anybody who retweets like viral videos will have it. So a family, just to give a quick description, a family's in like their front yard. So it's like a Simply Safe camera, like a ring camera, one of those things. And you see someone set off these fireworks in the front lawn, and they just go everywhere. You think, it was dangerous, but whatever. Well, one went under their car, and they must have had fireworks under there or around there, because more went off, and then the car went off, and the car blew up.
No good.
I've never seen anything like it. I don't even know how it's possible. I don't fuck with like any serious fireworks. It's not worth it.
No, I mean, I have a couple of like little shells that came in something. They're not giant, but they're like the little shell kits. You still
Oh
have
yeah,
to put it in the tube, light the fuse, and it shoots up in the air. But I don't fuck around with a lot of that stuff. Most of it is ground shows and sparklers and snakes.
sparklers and snakes is all you need.
What was it? Was it South Park where they had the world's or
Longest,
the
yes.
longest snake, right? And it
And then
eventually
it
fucks
just
everything up.
because it just the kids hate summer. They do the longest snake, and then all of a sudden the ash from the snake is so bad that it actually acts like snow, and they
Yep.
start ash sledding. Oh yeah, it's great.
I also don't know why, Ryan. You can ask Mrs. Money. I've been referencing Phil Collins Hill a lot lately, and that is a South Park reference. Early on, the kids are sledding down Phil Collins Hill,
Oh,
and they show it,
I'm
and it's just a picture of Phil Collins, kind of like this
yeah.
on the side of the hill. I don't know why.
I mean, I know the South Park reference. It's just weird that you're referencing it a lot.
Don't know why. It's just been really stuck in my head. Phil Collins Hill. Well, you've got all your fingers, so that's good. Did you did you leave your house for the 4th of July? He's thinking,
There was
folks.
a family barbecue,
Okay. Okay.
so there was that.
So you left for a barbecue.
Yes,
That's
and that
it.
was it.
You didn't go do anything else with your long weekend that was fun.
No. What do
Schlong,
I
we
look
gotta
like?
get you out of the house, brother.
What do I look like? An exciting person
I
who has a
mean,
life?
it's not even like, yeah, I went and did this crazy um like I did this crazy thing, but like, yeah, I went to the movies to see Minions.
I think there'd be more concern that I went to the movies and saw Minions than me not leaving the house. I think that would actually raise more concern.
Listen, there's not much out right now. I heard Jurassic Park is garbage.
As expected.
Um I
Thor comes
haven't seen
out.
it. What's that? Thor?
Thor
Well,
Love and
that's this week.
yeah, that comes out.
So
I will see that.
in a month on a Tuesday, I'll see it for $5.
I'll see that with my nephews at some point. Oh, I did leave to go set up their PS5. So I did that too.
All right.
I helped them get a PS5.
Any good games?
Spider-Man.
That's a great game. I don't have the 5, but the first one on the 4 was great.
Yeah, so if you buy the Miles Morales game for the 5, like the certain edition, you can also get the original like game but like remastered. So
Yep.
they got Miles Morales in the original and they love that game, so
I was at one point working my way back through because, like, on the first one, when you beat it, they're like, go through it again in insane mode or whatever. I almost had all the trophies, but I stopped going back through it again. I needed to beat it one more time after you ran it back, and then I would have
yeah,
unlocked all the
I
trophies.
did the run back because you get to keep all your stuff, I think, right? Isn't that the
Yep.
and like it was fun, but part of it was like I just beat you.
Right. I know.
And like when I beat the game, I had pretty much 100%. So it
Yep.
was like I love this game so much. And the problem is, so then like 6 months later, I'm like, all right, I'll do it again. But it's like, but now I forget how to play.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, once you stop playing it and you forget all the fighting mechanics,
Yeah.
it's such a pain in the ass to try to get that back.
Yeah. But that was it. So they got that. It came as like a whole package.
Nice.
I went, it was actually a gift. My parents and I went in on it because we've been trying for 2 years to get them one. And I finally found them one. But it came like the PS5, Horizon Forbidden West, an extra controller, a charger, gift cards, and then I got them the game, more controllers. It was a really good deal. Man, getting PS5 is still so tough.
Yeah, I mean, I keep getting emails from like Sony saying like, "Hey, you're eligible to buy it in our exclusive sale." It happens like once or twice a month. I don't even try anymore. Excuse me. Not even because it's hard to get it. I mean, I'm sure it is once you get in the queue and you try to get it, but like we just got the Switch, so I definitely don't need to be running two new systems, even though the Switch isn't really
Switch,
new. I don't.
Switch is great, especially for little money's age. Now, like one of my nephews is almost a teenager, the other one's just on the doorstep of it. They need the real system so that they can do some
Yeah,
hardcore gaming.
he enjoys the Kirby. I made the mistake yesterday of friends live, and in Kirby there's some sort of power that you get where you basically shoot these little star guns. And
Yeah.
I walked around making the mistake of shooting the little characters that are good guys, and they basically pass out
Oh
and then
no.
wake up and wave at you. So now all he wants to do is run around GTA style in Kirby and shoot these guys.
Yeah, you can't show a kid that because that's what they want to do.
I know. Well, that's all he doesn't even really want to play the game. He just wants to hang out in that town all day. I'm like, buddy, we can't do this for an hour. We gotta move along here. We gotta try to rescue
Yeah.
these things and beat this game.
We got to save the world.
I did start. Mrs. Money got me the Metroid for my birthday. I started playing the Metroid, and there became a point where I remembered I was like, "Oh, this is why I kind of gave up on the early Metroids because it's so fucking annoying. You have to keep going back through the same places,
I
and the
hate that.
map." The map is it's just like a maze, right? Like you just keep circling through maps and you have to find the right doors. And I'm just like, oh, that's why when I was young, I sort of liked this game, but I sort of hated it. And now it's not so bad, but still, there are
Yeah, if a
times you
game's
could
gonna
ask
send me
Mrs.
through
Money.
the same, yeah, if a game's gonna send me through the same level, there better be something different about it when I'm doing it.
Yeah, you can ask Mrs. Money. There are times where I'm like, where the fuck is the door? Like, where's the door I'm trying to find? And you have to put waypoints on the map. It's a whole to do. But it's the newest game I've played. So she's saying, "Oh no, are you saying you don't like your birthday gift?" No, it's not what I'm saying at all. It's very frustrating. It's a child's game, and I get
That's
very
frustrating a grown
frustrated.
man.
Yeah, for a grown ass
Now,
man.
do you have all your fingers?
I do. I'm gonna hold them up. Which way is my? There you go. Hold them up. There you go. I also have all my toes. We did not light any fireworks off anywhere at my family's this year. Usually we do, but I couldn't. My fireworks are actually in the closet back here with all this shit in front of it, so that's why I couldn't get to them. And Danny Magic was not with us on the 4th of July, so he didn't bring his stash. So we didn't do any fireworks, but we did go see fireworks with Mini Money. So he had a good 4th of July. I can't remember. We did something Saturday too, but I can't remember what. It's
I just love
terrible.
the idea that Danny Magic has like a supply of fireworks that he pulls up, opens up the trunk, and it's just like it comes out in layers.
Well, here's the thing, Schlong. Let me let you in on kind of what we used to do. We used to go over the border to Pennsylvania. We used to go um to right over the Delaware Water Gap in the Poconos. There is a Phantom Fireworks store. So we used to actually go up because right around the 4th of July, almost everything in that store was buy one get one. And that went for anything in the store. There was a year we went and they had the Grounds for Divorce package, which was like, $1,500, but you could get 2 of them. You buy one, you get one. I mean, that would have been enough fireworks to last us 2 lifetimes, the way we use fireworks. But, we used to go up and it would be like an afternoon. We'd go up, we get fireworks, and then they would always, they'd see you're from out of state and they'd be like, why don't you enjoy some of the sights in the Poconos before heading back? Because they know the cops are sort of here waiting for you just to head back across the border. So we used to like go get lunch, hang out for a little bit, and then head back over the border. So we still have fireworks from those trips we used to take. Now we don't have to. Obviously, fireworks are like legal here. You can't really get the same stuff. You can get some of the same fun stuff, like some of the ground showers or the mini tanks that shoot fireworks. I don't even know if you can get Roman candles here, but you could pretty much find stuff here. But we had gone on one of those trips and we had gotten so much stuff we haven't even burned through all of it yet. Like behind me in this closet, there's definitely a handful of Roman candles. There are a ton of fucking bottle rockets and a lot of firecrackers too. Beyond that, I don't know what else is in there, but it's a ton of shit.
Bold man for keeping that in your closet near any kind of collectible. Bold man.
No. The collectibles are in the downstairs closet.
Oh, okay.
These are here where I know nobody's gonna get them.
Because I was going to
I
say
gotta worry about little
that's a
hands.
risky situation.
Well, I mean, you know,
Now that's what I
it
call
is
a
what it
sticky
is.
situation.
Oh yeah, I get the reference. So yeah, it was a good weekend. Me and Mrs. Money got actually some time by ourselves on Sunday. Minnie went to my parents' house to hang out with his cousins for a little bit. So we did fancy mall day without the boys. So we grabbed some lunch. We went to if anybody knows the Short Hills Mall in New Jersey, it's a bougie ass mall. It's like, Gucci, Fendi, Hermes, For the people who know Ryan, it's fashion. I know you know.
I'm a
I
very
know.
high fashion guy.
It's very fashion. And for a guy named AntMoney, I was looking to spend. We did not find something. I was very young bucks-ish. If I saw something in the sale bin, I asked if I could pay them twice, what they were asking. I'm paying double the face. Yeah, Mrs. Money is saying in the chat, it's just a regular mall for us monies. That's very true. That's
The money mall. It's the money mall.
And then for Saturday, she's reminding me. Saturday we did some errands. I had to get this new chair I'm sitting in, so I finally have a chair with a back.
You've upgraded, Ant.
I've upgraded. And then we did fancy pizza on Friday night, so it was a good long weekend. Now it's back to the grind,
And here we are, back to the real world.
The two of us, just ourselves, nothing else.
Well, Matt's out being a lumberjack.
That's
Kate
true.
thinks it is homeless.
Well, Kate's homeless as long as she wants to be. You know what I mean? She can. I think she can pull that trigger anytime she wants. She could be like, "I demand a home," and boom, she's got a home. She's Hollywood. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. She just has to call up her people, and her people will get her a home.
That's right.
And whatever drink she wants.
That's right. Yeah, and as you said, to clue people in too, Lumberjack Matt. It was so now, yes, he's Millionaire Matt, but he is also Lumberjack Matt. Lumberjack Matt let us know they took a giant tree down in his house, so he's got a lot of sawing to do with the leftover wood. Ryan, what did you say he listens to in while he's cutting wood?
William Regal's WWE theme. He's a man. He's a man.
Now I get it, and I think Matt was fibbing to you saying I listened to that and my song on repeat. But I think he's just being kind to you, Ryan.
I think he's being kind to you too, because I had an epiphany on what song he really listens to.
Well, okay, let me give my song out first. And I know for a fact, Ryan, he listens to this song in his regular time as well. It's a pleasure song for him. The Lumberjack by Jackal. Matt loves fucking Jackal. I was over there one night and he had a Spotify list and Jackal came on 3 or 4 fucking times. And I only knew the one song.
That's what he tells us. But in reality, I know when Matt is swinging that axe, all he's hearing or all he's playing is, when the working day is done, oh, girls just want to have fun. That's all they really want.
He could very well, too, be listening to something we haven't guessed, like Who Wears Short Shorts while wearing short shorts and swinging his axe.
He's in cutoff jorts.
That's right. Because when he's not swinging that axe, he's swinging the hammer, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, you see, you missed the obvious one. When he's not swinging that axe, he's swinging that ass.
Ooh. Well, he's shaking that ass. I know that much.
Oh, yeah.
Asian Joe's saying he figured it'd be the Lumberjack song from Monty Python. I think all of these are viable options. But I swear, Lumberjack by Jackal, 100%. Schlong, I've never listened to that song willingly at any point in my life. Matt goes out of his way to put it on. I'm telling you. I've seen it. Well, it sounds like you had a great 4th of July, Schlong. Hope everybody out there listening had a great 4th of July. And now we're back to business. So we're going to talk about wrestling. Honestly, Schlong, I don't have anything else no collectibles. No, nothing. I got nothing else to share before we start to talk about Rampage.
Well, listen, this is the story all about how my life got turned, flipped upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, tell you all how I became the Prince of Bel-Air.
Why are we just breaking into the Fresh Prince? Did you start watching it on Peacock?
No, I just was trying to tell a story.
Oh, that I don't know why that reminded me, Schlong. Remember last week when we were talking about the trip to Chicago?
We need to talk about whatever you're going to say, but this needs to be brought up.
Oh, Rob Humphrey. I've somehow managed to see Jackal live twice. Rob Humphrey, I've got news for you. You didn't manage it. You did it. There's no, it's not a coincidence. You've gone to see Jackal twice.
In fact, I think he's a Jackal head.
Some would say he's a jacker.
You a jacker, Rob?
I think Rob's a jacker. Maybe not. He's not a sleep jacker, but he's a jacker.
Oh my God! It all makes sense now.
It's all coming full circle.
Matt loves Jackal so much that he became a sleep jacker.
That's right. Oh my God.
All right. So what's your Chicago thing?
I don't know why this reminded me. I never, I think fully said it last week. I said we were huge in the Midwest food chain, kind of section, or whatever I said. I don't fucking remember. It's too long. So I remember I told you we posted something about Sheets. Sheets showed us some love on the gram.
Mm-hmm.
They commented back. Waffle House, commented back. We also threw up a couple photos when we went to Kuma's, the hamburger heavy metal place. We threw up a photo when we went to Giordano's, the deep dish. Giordano's hit us up pretty quickly and said, thanks for coming. So again, love from Giordano's. Hadn't seen anything from Kuma's, but that's okay. We still love Kuma's until tonight, Schlong. We went 4 for 4 in social. When I went to Chicago with the food chains, they must have seen me and said, that's a fat guy. He'll be back.
Well, see, this is the issue I have with the whole scenario, and I love that we're 4 for 4, but I need you to take that magic, momentum.
Are you saying get a sponsorship?
Well, no, because that's actually the logical thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying we need to target local New Jersey area food places, and I'm just okay if they give me discounts.
That's all I wanted. That's all I asked Sheets for. Just give me a couple bucks to spend in your store, and I will be back.
Chances are, you give me a couple, I'll spend more than that.
Yeah. You give me a $5 voucher, I'm spending 10, if not 20.
It's $5 if it's free.
That's it. But I gotta, Schlong, the big thing about Kuma's, they hit that follow button. We're in with Kuma's, and I couldn't ask for a better thing.
That's all we ever wanted.
I will sing their praises, even though, I've been to Kuma's before, follow or not. If you haven't been to Kuma's Corner in Chicago, and I think there's one somewhere else that's sort of weird, head to Kuma's Corner. Great fucking food. Their playlist is also on point with heavy metal, death metal, black metal, all that you can ask for. It's fantastic. So, Schlong, I got the notification tonight. Kuma's like, Kuma's follow, Kuma's comment, and it made me remember. I never told you guys we went 3 for 4. Well, we went 4 for 4. Boom. You're welcome.
So now we must conquer the Northeast.
Yeah, that just means, Schlong, that we got to take more group trips to shows, and we got to take some more photos and put them on the socials. People were clearly following.
Yeah. I'm really annoyed that ROH's next show is in Massachusetts, I guess, and not 2300 in Philly that carried them through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Where, that'd be a reasonable show for us. Now, granted, it's probably an audience thing. Probably fit more people going where they're going. But I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Mrs. Money asked if I was going, and I'm like, it's like in 2 weeks. Like, there's no way I can make that trip happen on a Saturday. But I need to stay over. I don't want to stay over. I just went to Chicago. I'm not trying to do that.
No, Philly would have been convenient for everyone. You could come down and go back the same night.
Yeah, I mean, that would be. Listen, at some point, I think they're going to run the 2300, but it is 100% for seating because this is a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Still, it's just mad that because we could be going.
I mean, we could be going to Lowell.
Yeah, but that's not convenient for me, and I'm lazy.
All right, Charlie, we get it. You just don't like leaving the Philadelphia area.
Just because.
It was like when they went to what was it? Where were they going? The Grand Canyon. Charlie was like, it was great. And they're like, Charlie, we never left. Yeah.
He let the hitchhiker drive so he could go sleep, so he could sleep in the bar.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, what a great show. Anyway, I didn't mean to derail us. I just want to remember. I wanted to let you know we did go 4 for 4 with our food stuff out and on our Chicago trip. I might have had one more that we didn't get anything back on, but it is what.
Well, they're dead to us, so it's okay.
Dead to me. So Schlong, why don't we talk about Friday Night Rampage just a little bit, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll go into Dynamite, and we'll talk about everything that happened there. But you don't wanna? What's the matter?
I said
Schlong?
Dynamite.
Oh, I thought you said I don't wanna.
No, I'm doing Dynamite.
Oh, all right. So, Schlong, think back all the way to Friday, before the long holiday, before all of the fun that you had outside of your house. Friday Night Rampage actually was a pretty good show. And I think I had seen that it was some of their best ratings in quite some time on a Friday night. And maybe it was the 20-man 2-ring battle royal they had to determine the first challenger for the interim
Royal Rampage.
There you go. It was the Royal Rampage edition of Rampage. So that led off the night. 20 men, and then just so in case anybody didn't see it, it was each ring, because they had this set up for blood and guts. Each ring started with 2 men, and then as people enter, a new man enters every minute, but they're assigned to a ring. So it's a blue ring and a red ring, and eventually each ring can have 10 men in it. And once there's one person left in each ring, both men enter the same ring, and now it's still a battle royal style. You have to go over the top rope to lose. There was a lot of pretty good talent in this match. Hangman Adam Page, Darby Allin, Ricky Starks, I think I said Hobbs, the Butcher, the Blade, Silver, a lot of
Swerve,
guys.
Keith Lee,
Swerve Lee, Caster. Oh no, wait, yeah, Caster did do it. Sorry, I was looking ahead to tonight. My apologies. So there were a lot of guys in this, and Brody King. We can't leave Brody King out. That's going to become important in a moment here. And Schlong, a little guy named Tony Nese, was also in this match. Now, to the dismay of at least one person in this house, Tony Nese was first man out again. Tony Nese, not good at the battle royals.
First out of the royal, first in her heart.
You know it. I mean, it's...
He's not. He just doesn't understand them.
Not pure either.
He's
Looking
not
good pure.
Well, I don't think you can get those abs by being pure.
You've heard it here first. Schlong thinking that Nese is on a little gas.
He's at least taking vitamins.
vitamin. At the very least, he's taking a vitamin supplement. But it could be more. It could be HGH and some sort of anabolic cycle.
Just
But
go
at the
for
very least, he's taking some vitamin C.
Yeah, we don't. It's that wide range. Could be anywhere.
That's right. We're keeping it all open. Roosh was in this. Matt Hardy was in this. Dustin Rhodes. Let's boil it down to the end here. Orange Cassidy is the final entrant. And when it comes down to the two rings, we basically get it down to Darby Allin with the Butcher and the Blade. And on the other side, we have Brody Lee. I think sorry. There was a lot of Brody Lee talk on tonight's
You
Dynamite.
sound like JR. You sound like you're confusing the names.
Fresh in my brain. We'll get there. There is Brody King along with Orange Cassidy and Hangman and a couple other guys.
The regulars.
That's it. Not to my surprise, Darby Allin is able to eliminate the Butcher and the Blade, but he has taken quite a beating all night. And in the other ring, Brody King. I was actually a little surprised here, Schlong. Brody King is able to defeat Hangman to win his ring. So we're down to Brody King and Darby Allin. And again, I'm just kind of like, man, Darby, you don't need to be taking so much punishment during these matches, but in maybe one of the coolest ways to win a battle royal. And of course, right before this went down, Schlong, you can ask Mrs. Money. I was like 100% yelling at the TV, why the fuck are you going to the top rope? No, don't do this. And I said he's going to get fucking tossed. Well, Brody gets pushed to the apron. Darby's sitting on the top rope. Brody is able to cinch in the sleeper hold while Darby is on the apron with him. He turns to face the crowd, and now Darby is hanging limp in the sleeper hold, and King just drops him to win the battle royal. What? Now, Schlong, to me, that's a cool ass. That's a badass finish.
It's going to be repeated, which is a shame because it's so fucking cool that I don't want it to be repeated because it is so. It's like this needs to just stand on its own. It was perfect to be Darby because it of course Darby would need to be knocked out and thrown out, but it made Brody King look like a killer. The coolest toss out I've ever seen in anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're right. It will be repeated. Somebody will do it in the Royal Rumble or some other battle royal. But I mean, the visual of Brody, big Brody with little Darby Allin just dangling limp, and to then get just dropped to the floor was so awesome. And Schlong, I had no idea that Brody King would come out because I was like, well, it's going to be Hangman. Right? They're just going to run that back. There's money in that. So you'll run that back. You'll get a ratings pop. It'll be fine. At no point did I ever think Brody King is winning this battle royal.
Me neither. But what I love is the great thing about battle royals, Royal Rumbles, whatever you want to call them, Royal Rampages. Unless you eliminate a guy in 3 seconds in a humiliating fashion, you can't really hurt a guy by having him not win. But you can make a guy by having him win. So it didn't hurt Hangman to be eliminated. Like, no one's looking to be like, oh, Hangman's on. No. But what it did is it made Brody King look fucking awesome. Plus, Brody King's a giant dude, so he should win something like this. Like, how often do we hear, oh, it's the biggest man, and then the biggest man doesn't win? Well, this time the biggest man won. So it was perfect. I'm glad it wasn't Hangman because I don't want that feud yet because it's just, if it would have felt rushed to get back there already. I'm with you. I thought it. That's where I assumed, like, oh, you're going to pop it. But Brody King, and it also makes, the thing I like about AEW, and I'm going to keep saying, is that they make everyone feel important, even if they're not right there. So like Brody King is in the title picture for one night, okay, but he's there. You don't forget that. Like
Yeah.
you always you keep him at a level then. Like so he's established. You know, Pac just won a title. He hadn't really won a lot, but you always knew he was at that level. Like if they treat these guys at these levels, and then they pull away from it, but you never forget they were there.
Yeah, it's great for Brody getting a main event title shot, and in a match with John Moxley. And we're going to talk about the match in the next segment when we talk about Dynamite. So we will go into that. But it was a really great moment on Friday night. As I said it, I was shocked. I really had no thought like, oh, it's going to be Brody King. I thought it was going to be Hangman. And maybe now thinking in retrospect, Schlong, maybe they're sort of being cautious with the Hangman thing. Not cautious about Hangman or Mox, but maybe they're sort of waiting to see what the timeline is on Punk, right? Because okay, if Punk is not anywhere near close, and I honestly haven't really heard much, but if he's not going to be back for All Out in September, that might be where you go for All Out, Hangman and Mox in the title picture. Who knows? Maybe they're sort of waiting to get to Mox and Hangman and Punk. Maybe they do something weird like turn that into a 3-way title match, to unify the belts. They could go a lot of different ways because there's still a hot story with Hangman losing that belt, and there's he'll sort of want to chase that back, and Mox is now in the picture. So I really like the way it went out, the way it worked out, and Brody winning was really, really great. And even Kyle K. Sparks, says, and maybe a little spoiler, getting ahead of ourselves. He says, I don't think anybody thought that Brody was going to win tonight, but it gave him a major platform to shine and look like a big deal. And guys like me who watched him in Ring of Honor, a little gift too. 100% agree, Kyle. He was awesome to watch in Ring of Honor. His New Japan work is great. So now for him to get the spotlight on regular television against a guy like Mox makes him feel super special. And for the people maybe who haven't had that much exposure to him beyond the tag matches that he's been in on AEW TV, this was a really great look for him tonight. And we're going to talk about it as we get further on. Back to Rampage, Schlong. We get a Hook interview. He gives some cryptic advice. So I don't know what's going on with Hook, but always fun to hear Hook speak because you think he's never going to talk and then he talks. So a lot of fun. We had the Bucks versus Haruki Goto and Yoshihashi. That was basically they get a shot at the titles if they beat the Bucks. Well, the Bucks wound up defeating Goto and Yoshihashi, so it ain't going to happen. The Bucks are still the best in AEW. Gresham is going to team up with Leo Moriarty next week to take on Tully Blanchard Enterprises. And then we are basically into our main event of the night, where it's Nyla Rose and Toni Storm. And Toni Storm winds up defeating Nyla Rose. After the match, Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir attack Toni Storm, and Thunder Rosa comes out to make the save. The heels retreat, and Excalibur refers to the duo of Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm as Thunderstorm, and that ends the show, and it also leads us into Dynamite tonight, where they had a tag match. Now, Schlong, about that women's match, and I know the Bucks had a good match. We can go past that. That was a fine match, standard for the Bucks, but the Toni Storm Nyla match I thought was pretty good. And I'm not, me and anybody who listens to this show, I'm not a huge fan of Nyla Rose because most of the time, sometimes we've seen her sort of, not at her best sometimes when she's at a size advantage with a smaller opponent. But I thought this match with Toni Storm worked. I thought it was a good match, and it sort of led into the match we got tonight pretty seamlessly.
I agree. I think Nyla's improved leaps and bounds. Her biggest problem now seems to be she's still hampered by the the early days of her wrestling and the fact that they always put her as the first feud for a champion, and then she loses. So like she's really struggling to get rid of the stigmas that are surrounding her, which is like she's really improved her wrestling, and they need to stop treating her as like the first win for a champion. Like let her, like this is fine if her feud is with Tony Storm. I mean, granted, she just lost, but if she's doing something with Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa rather than just Thunder Rosa, I'm okay with it because at least it's given her a chance to branch out a little bit. Plus, her promo before the match was funny.
Yeah, everything they did was perfect with Nyla and in this main event. And I'm with you, Schlong. It is, and we've said it here on the show, that Nyla can't always be the first one because she's supposed to be a monster and she always loses that first fucking match, right? So like you build this feud because she's a monster, right? And it's usually a quick feud, and then she loses and it's over. So I'm with you. Let her sort of just go into some other stuff. She can always pop back up and start to work feuds with champions, after the first or second feud. Like that's totally fine, but don't let her always be the first. It becomes really formulaic and predictable.
And annoying.
Gordon asked the question of us, with them pushing women's tag teams, do you think they're going to introduce women's tag titles?
They should. I mean, listen, for two reasons. One, they are pushing a lot of tag teams. So what the fuck are we doing if you're not going to bring in titles? Because what's the point then? It feels like a waste if you're going to give me these tag teams and do nothing with them. That's been my problem when they did tag teams in the past. It's like, great, you're having these cool feuds. That the feud itself means something, but what's this team do after? Like it's more the after of the feud. There's nowhere for them to go. The second reason they should is people I among them keep complaining that they're not giving the women enough time. Well, if you give the women a tag title scene, you at least have to include the championship team regularly in theory, because they're pretty good about that they do at least include their champions and stuff. Even if I don't always like the champions feud, like I don't think Thunder Rosa was given good stories, but she's given at least time.
Right.
So you'll at least give them time for stuff by giving them the tag. So and they have the talent. The talent excuses no longer holds weight. They brought in a lot of it, and they use a lot of it on Dark, and they just won't pull the trigger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there that there's no excuse about talent, right? You've got enough women's talent to be able to put teams together for an extended period, right? Like that's fine. I think the only reason that I sort of give pause to the idea of women's tag titles is just because we've talked about it before. They can't get the world champion picture right, and not even like who's holding it. They just can't seem to build these feuds. It seems like, even Britt's run, right? Her long title run. There were times where they had really good stories running, but most of the time when you sort of look back on it, Schlong, it was really just, these quick builds with sort of.
I agree. In principle, I completely agree with you. You're right. Like if in a real world, you'd be like, you'll get them straight. The problem is they've had a while to get them straight, and they still don't. So at this point, it's like if I'm waiting for them to get that part of it straight, we might be waiting forever. So instead, let's get the tag teams involved, because you know what could happen is maybe they hit on a tag team feud and something wakes up in them and they're like, oh, this is what we've been doing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the only thing that makes me pause about women's tag titles is the stories, right? They can't really get a great story going with the championship. They do have some interesting stories going on with the TBS championship, although we're at a point now where I'm like, who's taking this belt from, Jade? And I think we're leading to Athena, but, nothing is for certain, right? Like nothing has really come out about that. But even there, when you look at that picture, Schlong, there's tag feuds that are there, with Anna Jay and or not Anna Jay, I'm sorry, with Chris Statlander and Athena and the baddies. Like, there are tag teams that are built right there to sort of enter a picture. So, I think that they have it sort of on the roadmap. I don't know when they'll pull the trigger on it, but they have enough talent to do it. They're going to have a Ring of Honor women's division that they're going to have to fill, right? So I don't know if they're thinking maybe it's going to be, it's the fact that, you know, some of that talent might be used in Ring of Honor, and now you're not going to have enough talent to fill a division. Who knows? But yeah, I think eventually the women's tag titles will happen. I just don't know when. That's really it.
But they have been leaning into it a lot more lately. Like they pointed out in their announcement for Mercedes and Serena Deeb on Friday, they did point out like the undefeated tag team. It's like, if you're not going to do something with them, why do you care if they're undefeated?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. It doesn't make sense all the time when they're pointing that stuff out. I think maybe there's something they're waiting on, and they'll pull the trigger at some point. You know, almost like with the men's division, and they're talking about, you know, the rumors of the trios titles, right? Like it seems like that's going to happen. They seem to be waiting for Kenny to come back to unveil those, but who knows when that'll be at this point, you know? So you might as well just pull the trigger.
Yep.
So either way, it was a entertaining Rampage, and it's set up for our Dynamite tonight pretty well. So we're going to talk about Dynamite momentarily. And Schlong, I don't know about you if you would like to infringe on a gimmick, but we're going to step away. All right, we're going to step away for a moment and hear about some of the other shows that are part of the Shining Wizards network for now. That we're part of. Of course, the Shining Wizards are on Monday nights at 7:00. It is their network, and we are happy to be part of it. But there are some other shows that we'd like to let you know about. So sit back, relax. We'll be back momentarily after a word from these shows that are part of the Shining Wizards network. Just be careful. Don't let the PC police get you.
Everyone knows a lot of things can change in the span of 10 years. But when it comes to professional wrestling podcasting, one thing is still guaranteed. The Shining Wizards is the only place to get all the latest wrestling news, interviews with the greatest guests, and of course, tons of laughs in discussing the world of wrestling. The show is still available on Monday nights at 7 p.m. East on rantmradio.com and Rant Entertainment Media on the TuneIn app. And it's still available on all podcasting platforms. To check us out, head over to shiningwizards.com, where it's still wrestling talk and talk about wrestling.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Horns up, everyone. When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure every Friday to check out Radioactive Metal. Radioactive Metal is one of the longest running podcasts on the interweb. And every week we bring you a fistful of metal, including interviews with all your favorite artists, discuss all the metal news, and feature the best tunes on the air today. So grab a Lemmy, join your cool Uncle Snowy and co-host Aaron in the pit.
Your recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting from the current to the way back. Join the Impact player Phil Brea and the Portuguese Man of War Choppy for the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Live every week on rantemradio.com. Get all our episodes over at iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Audio Boom, Google Play, ShiningWizardsNetwork.com, and TurnbuckleThrowbacks.com.
Are you tired of being told what to think and believe by Hollywood elites and politicians who just don't care about you?
Tired of not getting the truth when you watch the news?
Tired of trying to figure out what pronoun to use?
Tired of mob mentality when all you want to do is think for yourself and make up your own mind?
That's where we come in. This is Justin.
And Vince.
Your host of Inconclusive Breakdown.
We are a weekly anti-PC podcast bringing you entertainment and current event news without any spin.
If you want to truly stay informed on what's going on in the world, then give us a listen every Sunday, anywhere you get podcasts, at least till Zuckerberg and Twitter Jack deplatform us.
And as always, we're proud members of the Shining Wizards Network.
Tired of the PC police telling you what you can and cannot say? Want a show that travels back to the 80s and 90s, where the badass hosts have beaten down cancel culture on 3 separate occasions and carried on to gloat about it? Since 2013, The Midnight Jury is that show. Travel back to the malls and arcades, pop in your VHS, and join us where the 80s and 90s return from the dead. Conan, tell them where to find us.
WLWstudios.com, home of the Midnight Jury podcast, hosted by Midnight Mike and Calvin Brody.
Also available on all major podcast platforms via the Shining Wizards Network, and join in the conversation on Twitter at Midnight Jury.
What's up, wrestling fans? You want something awesome? Check out Wrestling Night in Canada here on the Shining Wizards Network. We're 3 Canadian metalheads uniting for the love of pro wrestling. Every episode we go over all the latest news and special events with the odd unique interview as well. So grab a cold one and check out Wrestling Night in Canada, eh?
All right, we're back here on the Mark Order podcast, part of the Shining Wizards Network. Schlong, you ever give the Radioactive Metal a listen? Pretty good show.
I'm not a huge metalhead, so not really, no.
Just check it out. That's all I'm saying. Check it out. Let's see. Schlong, just so the people know, you can follow us on our socials at Mark Order Pod, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all the normal places. And most importantly, if you're following us on those socials, we have our link tree up on our profiles on all those pages. And you can request some free stickers if you'd like to support us. That's right. Asian Joe's heard the rumor. There are stickers, these stickers right here, the V1 square and the V2 circle. And if you hit up our link tree, the first button there is to request free stickers. All you got to do is give us your name, your mailing address, and the country you live in, and we will send them out for free.
We need your social security, date of birth as well.
No. I don't want anybody spreading fake news. We will never. The Mark Order podcast will never ask you for your banking account numbers, your social security, routing, your mother's maiden name, all that kind of stuff. You just give us your name, your mailing address, the country you live in. We will send them out gratis, free stickers, free shipping, free handling. You don't have to worry about anything. And my sincere apologies, Schlong. I know I said it last week. I had gotten a request for some stickers, and I was way delayed because I had the trip I took to Chicago. It's very unlike me. Donnie had requested some stickers. Donnie in Minnesota had requested some stickers, and it took me a week to get them out. I truly apologize, Donnie, but I hope that you get those stickers soon. So if you want to be like Donnie and everybody else who's requested some stickers, just hit us up and we'll get them out to you as soon as possible.
Do we think he's a Ninja Turtle?
I don't know, but I hope he's going to be at the Quake by the Lake. Sorry, I was reading something. That's going down in Minnesota, right? It's a Dynamite they're calling Quake by the Lake. I love these names.
I do love that they continuously name their Dynamites. It does make me feel happy.
Yeah, man, it's a special Dynamite. The Quake by the Lake, the Fighter Fest, the Fight for the Fallen, all that stuff. Fun stuff. Always fun when you have a theme, but it's not really a theme. It's a very loose theme.
Very, very loose.
So, Schlong, let's do it. Let's take a look at the rankings for this week real quick. Before the night started, in our men's division, we had our champions, CM Punk, our world champion, our interim world champion, Moxley, our All-Atlantic champion, Pac, and our TNT champion, Scorpio Sky. No changes in the men's division. Contenders number 1, Wardlow, 2, Hangman Adam Page, 3, Jay Lethal, 4, Lance Archer, and 5, Powerhouse. Hobbs. In the women's division, Thunder Rosa is our champion. Our TBS champion, Jade Cargill. Our contenders, number 1, Toni Storm back in the number 1 spot. 2, Chris Statlander. 3, Nyla Rose. 4, Deeb. And 5, Britt Baker. And in the tag division, the Young Bucks are our champs. Our number 1 contenders are FTR. 2, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. 3, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. 4, the Butcher and the Blade jump up to take to their spot in the rankings. And 5, Reynolds and Silver. So not a whole lot of movement in the rankings this week, but in the men's division specifically, a lot of guys in the picture in the contender slot. Wardlow obviously had a shot tonight. Lethal's got his Ring of Honor TV championship shot at Death Before Dishonor later this month. So things sort of making sense there. So as we're talking about rankings, Schlong, why don't we dive right into Dynamite, because it sort of plays into a title picture immediately. And to be honest, Schlong, I didn't think they'd lead off with this match. But they did start off Dynamite with our street fight, Scorpio Sky versus Wardlow for that TNT championship.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it should be known again, street fight. So there were lax rules, sort of anything goes. Scorpio Sky had Dan Lambert and a lot of American Top Team members. And Wardlow was out there by himself. Schlong, let's just cut to the end of this match because I really want to talk about this here. Wardlow wins by pinfall with the Powerbomb Symphony to become the AEW TNT champion. They shoot off the confetti and all that fun stuff, so he has his moment. But Schlong, I'm just a little, I guess I'm not surprised, but I guess I'm a little disappointed. I really wish we had gotten more out of Scorpio Sky in his, I guess, second run as the TNT champion. They had all that weird stuff going on with Sammy Guevara and that title kind of going back and forth a couple times. And I think Wardlow was sort of laying in wait for this. Scorpio was a little banged up. They also had to get past Forbidden Door. And that's why we got this tonight. But I don't know about you. I'm sort of disappointed that we didn't get more out of Scorpio Sky. And my fear now is we're not really going to see as much Scorpio Sky as we did now that he doesn't even have a belt.
Yeah, so the only thing I will say is we knew Scorpio Sky was banged up, and I was reading a couple things on Twitter for like Phil Lindsay, who writes for, I forget who he writes for. I think he does Bleacher Report. He also does Grab City. He kind of pointed out a few times. I don't know for a fact, but I think if he's saying it, he's not the only one thinking it, is that Scorpio Sky is probably still hurt. And Scorpio kind of put out a tweet that made it read in. So I'm wondering how much of this was kind of forced on them of like, we have to take the belt off him. He's hurt. He can't wrestle. We could do another interim, but do you really want 2 interim champs at the same time? Like then now you're getting into very hairy things. Plus he could wrestle enough to give you a match at least. Plus, if he's hurt, I don't want him to be hurt. And I never want a guy to be hurt, obviously. The only thing is if it's very minor or he's only out for a short period of time, but enough that he had to drop the belt. Guys coming back from injury almost always come back face, and we want Scorpio Sky to be face. So I'm really hoping it feels like it was like an adjustment for injury. Once I read that, I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes a lot of sense. Because this wasn't even that great of a match. From what I could tell, not even that good. Like it felt like, okay, maybe Scorpio really can't go in multiple matches at this point, and they just need him to heal up.
Yeah, it was I think like a 10 or 12 minute match. It wasn't very long. Wardlow, it's funny, it kind of played out to me like the MJF match played out, except Wardlow wasn't in control the whole time. As I said, American Top Team was there. They did get involved a couple times, but they didn't factor into the, final sort of result. So it was sort of a little surprising, right? Because that's what we had said last week. Well, maybe this is how they protect Wardlow, right? That American Top Team is all over the place and he can't get the win, but they really didn't factor in. So that line of thinking sort of makes sense is maybe Scorpio Sky is not still 100% and he needs a little more time. It's still just disappointing, right? Like Scorpio is so good and you don't want to see him sort of be that transitional champ. But
even if it was forced, it still sucks. It's still disappointing.
Yeah, I want to see more Scorpio, not less Scorpio. And I just hope that this doesn't, if he is injured and he needs some time, obviously you want him to take it, but you don't want to see him now with no belt out of every picture, and that's just kind of what sucks. But the interesting thing here too is, this All Atlantic title, we really don't know what's sort of going on with that, right? We don't know if it's a regional thing, if it's, going to be defended on, a regular basis or anything like that. Maybe the thought is that this belt kind of goes between this and Ring of Honor. Who knows? They haven't really said. So hopefully Scorpio emerges somewhere, but Wardlow is your new TNT champion. Maybe, Schlong, this is also a way that we get somebody who is sort of this fighting champion, right? We had kind of said that too, is we hope that this belt at some point becomes, you see it and it's sort of like an open challenge champion, sort of like when Cody had it the first time. Now, again, different circumstances because we're in a pandemic. They're finding almost anybody they can to work and giving them sort of a live tryout, So we got to see guys like, Warhorse and Eddie Kingston, who they signed, Ricky Starks, who they signed. Maybe we don't see that again, but at the very least, maybe this is now going to be Wardlow holds it and he wants to defend it every week or every, week with maybe a break in the middle somewhere. So hopefully we get to see more of it. That's my only sort of thing here is hopefully we get to see some more.
Yeah, I agree.
So moving on, we get a promo from Moxley talking about how people like Brody King, are going to surprise him and catch him off guard, but he knows exactly what kind of monster King is. He took a man he deeply respects and admires in Tanahashi and bloodied and battered him, and then Blood and Guts was like a picnic, and he knows exactly who King is. He's seen New Japan and Ring of Honor, and the only question is, how big is his heart? We're going to find out because he's going to be swimming in deep water, and he's going to find his limits. So we're building to that main event tonight. And Schlong, that's the reason I even just wanted to bring this promo up was it's just really awesome, again, for Brody King coming out of nowhere, out of that battle royal, to win and automatically get all of this, quote unquote press, right? And this time on TV, even when he's not on TV, they're talking about him and what a monster he is, and just building him up to this main event. I just think it's great for a guy like Brody, who's, done some good time in other places, and now we're getting to see him. So Schlong, something else I want to talk about is what they were doing with Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese in a couple segments tonight. First, we see them go up to Keith Lee and make him an offer because who's going to turn them down? Right? They're basically saying they have a class action lawsuit against Swerve, who has been, turning on everybody in these battle royals. So obviously they know Keith Lee has some issues with him and they want him to be part of this class action suit, but he turns them down. At the same time, Schlong did not go over well in this house. He basically called Nese a loser. The whole time too, I don't know if you noticed this, Schlong, Keith Lee was eating an apple. Like he was carrying an apple that he was eating. It was very funny to me.
I'm more interested in the second interaction that they had. Well, not him and Lee, but Nese and...
Yeah. So that's the first time we see Nese and Smart Mark Sterling tonight. We're going to talk about it another time. So moving on, we get Christian Cage making his entrance with Luchasaurus and gets on the mic. He says, after Blood and Guts, he's the Cage everybody's talking about. I like that line, Schlong. Very nice line. And that everybody's demanding to know why Luchasaurus is remaining aligned with him. But before he can give a reason, Matt Hardy enters. And Matt Hardy tells Christian that like the Michael Jordan of he's like the Michael Jordan of being an asshole. And that Jungle Boy was his friend and they've got to know each other very well, and nobody deserved what Christian did to Jungle Boy. And Cage tells him he doesn't know Perry the way that he does, and he's starting to make his brother Jeff Hardy sound like the sober one. So Matt tells Cage he's using Jungle Boy to stay relevant, and he gets it. He did the same thing with Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade. He regrets it, and he's here to make sure nobody else gets taken advantage of. But Christian calls him a clout chaser who'll use his kids, his father-in-law, a dilapidated boat. He'll even turn a blind eye to his brother's issues so he can have one last title run. And he's going to sit here and say he cares about Jungle Boy when he knows Cage is the hottest, most influential star in AEW, and Matt is more embarrassing to the Hardy family than his screw-up loser brother. And that's when Hardy attacks, but Luchasaurus does cut him off with a headbutt. They go to the floor. Hardy goes into the steps, and then Luchasaurus puts him through the timekeeper's table. Schlong, some pointed words from Christian Cage. They are really letting Cage go with these promos, huh? First talking about Jungle Boy's dead family, and now talking about Jeff Hardy being a drunk.
If I didn't know that Christian and Matt Hardy were friends since the late 90s, I would wonder, like, how do you even approach this? Like, to bring this up. But I know Matt Hardy probably was on the, like, say this.
Yep.
It makes for a great fucking heel. Christian is an amazing heel.
He is. And I love heel Christian in the turtleneck. Makes it even better.
Wherever you are in the United States right now, it's fucking hot.
I know, and he's walking around in a long sleeve turtleneck.
I guess he loves the heat, baby.
Who knows? Well, he must, because he's putting out these fire promos, and he's doing a good job. Now, I will say this, Schlong. I do hope at some point they do give us a reason why Luchasaurus would decide to turn heel and stay with Christian. I hope we get there, but right now, this is a lot of fun to watch sort of unfold. It seems likely they'll probably have a tag match, Luchasaurus and Christian Cage versus Hardy and Jungle Boy, but who knows? Either way, this is I don't know. Maybe people hate this, Schlong, but I think that this is a lot of fun right now.
I love it. I think Christian's doing amazing work as a heel. It was breathing fresh life into the story that had kind of died out, and Hardy, they had to do something because everything changed, unfortunately. So I think this is a great use of him. Like, he had just had this change of heart of who he was, and now he's like, Christian, you're becoming who I was.
Yep.
And it's just, so it works. It works on all storytelling levels. And the thing is, I think Jungle Boy still ends up being the star of the whole show there, and that's what you want, is for him to come out looking the best.
Yeah, and I think a really good way of doing that is clearly he's off television with an injury, right? And now he'll come back and be, the ultimate savior. So he'll be even more, over with the crowd than he already is. So it'll be fun to see how they do that. But when they get past that, they go to a Blood and Guts recap, and then Shivani's backstage with Claudio and Jake Hager, and they're setting up a match where they're going to go against each other next week. So Claudio's trying to go 3-0 in his time with AEW.
Did you see the GIF going around of Claudio reacting? Well, I mean, I guess it's a GIF even if there's sound. Claudio reacting to Jake Hager saying, "He's not as hard as me."
I did not see that going around.
He's like blown away. It's really funny. If you see it, I encourage you to watch it.
I will certainly keep an eye out for it. When we end here, I will take a look on Twitter and all the other places that it'll probably show up. But either way, these two guys know each other from their time in the E. So it should be an entertaining match next week. We don't see a lot of Jake Hager outside of these group matches, so it'll be interesting. And Claudio's third match with AEW.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a good one.
It'll be good. All right, moving on, we go to the Butcher and the Blade versus Swerve and Our Glory, and the Butcher and the Blade had just sort of made their return, last week to television, so we get to see this tag match. Let's fast forward to the end. Swerve and Our Glory does win by pinfall with the Swerve Stomp / Spirit Bomb combo on the Blade. Post-match, Hobbs and Starks come down and they're shouting that they won't be disrespected. They're grown-ass men. And Starks says that they've been really nice by not ending their careers, but they want to act like there's somebody they've proven that there's levels to this, and Swerve and Our Glory are several levels lower. And if they want to talk about who the best tag team is, well, that's when the Bucks come into the picture. And the Bucks do apologize for interrupting before remembering they don't have to apologize because they built the company. They say they're two very good teams, Swerve and Our Glory and Hobbs and Starks. They had 4.5 stars when they had their match at Double or Nothing, but that is an off night for the Bucks, folks, and they couldn't even get the job done. But the Bucks did get the job done against Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, and that's why they're the champs. So they have a proposal: Triple or Nothing next week. Young Bucks defend against Starks and Hobbs, and Swerve and Our Glory. An FTR chant does interrupt, and the Bucks say that they're better than FTR, and the crowd should know that. And so now we are off to next week, where we'll have our 3-way match. So Schlong, an interesting turn of events it looks like right now. Swerve and Keith Lee are on the same page. There were a couple moments tonight where maybe, they looked a little unsure with each other, but for the most part, they're getting wins. Hobbs and Starks, they're clearly annoyed by these guys, and now the Bucks come in. I think this should be a really fun match next week for sure.
Banger potential. I can't see that. I mean, things happen. Sometimes chemistry isn't there, but I can't see this match being anything but amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucks really do show up against any team, right? And it doesn't matter what kind of team you are. The Bucks are going to show up and show out. So that should be fun. This match was also a pretty fun match. Nothing. I don't think I have anything in particular to call out. There were a couple moments in the beginning with the Blade, a couple exchanges with Swerve where they looked like maybe they were sort of an off step with each other, but things settled down and it wound up being a pretty standard match for both teams. Nothing.
Yeah, Butcher and Blade are a great team and they're necessary. That they're not jobbers, but they're not title contenders. But you need teams like that. Otherwise, who's Swerve and Our Glory going to wrestle tonight? Like, you don't want them wrestling Hobbs and Starks, but you also don't want them wrestling Chaos Project. You need that middle team, and right now, Butcher and Blade are great at that.
Yeah, listen, I love the Butcher and the Blade. Andy has transformed himself. He looks great in the ring. The Blade has always been great in the ring. And Keith Lee and Swerve, a team of sort of opposite builds, right, and different styles, but it works together. And they're a lot of fun. So, we'll see.
Yeah, and I can't wait for their split when they have a feud.
Yes, it will 100% be a really great split. Because it will happen eventually. I think they're sort of just putting a hold on it with everything that happened with the Hardys.
Yep, I agree.
So we do get a Malachi Black promo on Jon Moxley, talking about how Brody King is going to leave his mark. So again, more talk about the main event. And then Eddie Kingston makes his way to the ring, where Shivani interviews him. And Kingston congratulates Wardlow on his first title win, and then he congratulates everybody on his team at Blood and Guts, even Claudio. He says he's a nice guy, he's grown up, blow some raspberries. But he's really out there to call Chris Jericho out for making him a liar, because he didn't taste his blood, so now he's going to get him again, and he's going to taste Jericho's blood. And that's when Jericho is on the Tron and says if he wants to get crazy, he'll show him how crazy he can get. And he orders Tay Conti to slam the car door on Ruby Soho's wrist. So it looks like they had Ruby Soho beaten up a little bit by Tay Conti, and as she's kind of climbing up the car with the door open, Tay slams the door on her hand. They run off. The medics come over. So Ruby Soho now dealing with this. Schlong, do you think we get a mixed tag match out of this, or are we just going to keep it, Tay and Ruby and then Eddie and Chris? I don't want to see a mixed tag match. I'd rather keep them separate, but, not sure where they go with this.
So if they do a mixed tag match, I want it to be like you would see on the indies rather than WWE, which is like the minute the guy tags in or the woman tags in, the other has to come. Like, I hate that. Like, it makes the match very boring, because the whole point of a tag match is that exciting tag in that moment. It eliminates all that when like one has to be in with the other. That being said, if I'm not huge into that because I don't think they're ready for it yet. So I'd rather them just have this be a Tay and Ruby feud, which is great though. Like, if you're gonna have these groups, throw women in them, because one, they have natural relationships and stories with these guys. It doesn't have to be romantic like Tay and Sammy. Ruby and Eddie's perfect. They're just friends, and sometimes you don't even have to be friends. Like, you could put a woman in. You could have put, they're more faces now, so I don't think you want to put Deeb there, but Deeb would have been perfect in Blackpool Combat Club. Like, there's things that work. And then you have natural feuds built in, the story that we keep complaining about. Well, there's a story here why these two hate each other, and it gives women time. So I'm all for it, but I'm with you. I'd rather it just be a straight match.
Yeah, I think then. Oh, I'm sorry, Schlong. Yeah, I was just agreeing.
Then the way WWE does it, I don't want that.
Yeah, and we just saw Tay involved in a mixed tag match, right, with Sammy and whoever, I can't remember. But I don't think we need to see it again. Asian Joe brings up a really good question, Schlong. He says, "Does Eddie gain wizard powers if he tastes Jericho's blood?"
No, he's a wizard, not a vampire.
Well, I wonder if some of that does rub off.
No.
No, you're saying no. I think maybe.
No, that's not how wizarding works. You either have magic or you don't. Or you have to do a spell, or you have to give your soul to a demon. There's a whole lot of ways. But what you don't do is just drink blood. That's vampirism or werewolf.
Okay. Well, we know where Schlong
or
stands.
Zombie.
We know where Schlong stands on his fantasy blood-sucking. Vampire, werewolf, or zombie. Wizard power will not cross over. Schlong, I assume that you would also say the same thing for midi-chlorians and the Force, right? That will not
exactly.
transfer.
You do not get you suddenly do not become super Force sensitive just because you drink the blood of a Jedi. You also don't become Force sensitive just because maybe you get their arm attached to your arm. That's not how it works. There's more to it than that. Yes, okay. Asian Joe. Eddie is too muggle.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Asian Joe right now is in the process of reading the Harry Potter books.
Okay. I can't comment. I never read, never saw the movies, no desire.
Well, we can't all be awesome like me, and I get it.
Okay. Well, sorry. You said it would be weird to see the minions,
but also, like, let's be
children,
fair. Like,
wizards, okay.
But I was a child.
You're still a child. You're just
at heart,
he's just
always,
a boy.
Always a child at heart. When I was young, I wanted to be a dinosaur, and I lost it.
But Dad, you're not. You're a human.
You couldn't be a dinosaur. You're human.
Oh my God. Schlong, let's move on. In what is a great moment of the night, the Dark Order make their entrance into the arena. Now, I didn't say it at the start of the show, but they are in Rochester. So obviously, Brody Lee was spoken about a few times, Brody being from Rochester. So the Dark Order makes their entrance. Silver gets on the mic and he hypes up Rochester as Dark Order country. And Uno says that's why it's really important to say it here, because every single one of us should hear it. And he thanks everyone for showing up and supporting them. And the 6 of them are here to stay. So the Dark Order is going nowhere. I think obviously people have clearly been seeing, Alan Angels is gone, Stu Dose is gone. So I think people were maybe saying, is this over? Has it's run its course? But they say they're here to stay and that the Dark Order is forever, and they begin a new chapter with a proclamation, and the one who says it should be Brody Lee Jr. But that's when QT Marshall interrupts, and he asks how long we have to put up with this charity case, and he gets it. His dad is from Rochester, but he's not his father. His father was a legend, and -1 is more like his mother. And QT says he didn't bring his friends out, so he wants to face the 10-year-old man-to-man, send his friends off. Well, Schlong, that's when the hangman has had enough and makes his way down the ramp. And he and Evil Uno cut off QT and throw him in the ring for Silver and Reynolds to double team him. 10 finishes him off with a discus lariat. And Brody Jr. gets the mic back and says he'd pin Marshall right now, but he's going to wait until he's 19. And then the celebration for the Dark Order. So a nice moment for the Dark Order, clearing up some questions that it looks like this faction is sticking around. Fun to see Hangman come out and sort of assist them here, even though he's not an official member. It shows he's still cool with them. And the one thing, Schlong, that Mrs. Money said that she thinks would be hilarious, and I agree, was I don't know. I'm sure we could look it up, but I don't know how old Brody Jr. is. Would it not be amazing if QT Marshall is somehow still actively wrestling when Brody Lee really does turn 19 and they do get a match?
I don't even care if he's actively wrestling. I hope they just, without letting anyone know it's happening, QT comes back for like a because he'll probably still be with the company or something, and behind the scenes. I'm not saying necessarily be with the company, but I could see that him being a lifer in terms of behind the scenes stuff. But he comes back for a nostalgia run, and then all of a sudden, Brody Jr. comes out. Oh God! I will say this: it was great seeing Hangman. Not going to complain, but when they were doing this, all I wanted was Stu to come out. Oh, I really thought that's where we were going.
Listen, I mean, Stu is a great wrestler. I think it's a shame that he's not with the company. I don't know what his ask was, but it was too much for them. So
yeah, I mean, him and Alan Angels did it differently. Like Alan Angels needs to go make a name for himself.
Yep.
Stu doesn't. Stu doesn't need to do that necessarily. I'm with you. I don't know what to say else, but could you imagine if it had been like QT and the factory came out and they were taking advantage, and then all of a sudden Stu?
Yeah, it would have been awesome. Yeah, it would be awesome, but it is what it is. And actually, Schlong, I did see somewhere that, and I don't know if it's a spoiler, if it was TV tapings or whatever, but Alan Angels, I think, showed up at Impact. So
yeah, he's doing an X Division match.
Yeah, so good for him. Go somewhere, try to make a name, try to make some money, and maybe he finds his way back to AEW one day and he can make a little more money. Maybe not, who knows? But he really was good when he put his time in an AEW, so hopefully he finds a home, somewhere right now and can continue to build on and work on his craft. So, but listen, this was just a feel good fun segment for the night. How could you go to Rochester and not obviously bring out the Dark Order? So this was a lot of fun for me. And then Schlong, something that we talked about the past couple weeks, but it looks like they're sort of making this a standard now, is they introduced Jim Ross to join the team for the rest of the show. So for the second hour, Jim Ross joins on commentary and they bring him out, with an entrance. It seems, Schlong, like this is something they're going to sort of try and stick with from this point on. And I'm not going to lie, I don't hate it. And it's not because of how Jim Ross is now, flubbing stuff or just sometimes talking on about God knows what. But to me, it sort of makes the second half feel really important. Like there's a lot of really big stuff coming up. And tonight there was, we had the women's tag, we had the main event. We had a couple other things that we'll talk about here, but I don't hate the fact that they're doing this. How do you feel about it?
It's actually very WCW of them. If you remember, WCW had 2 sets of announcers. It was Shivani and maybe Tenay or someone in the first, and then they'd flip over, and it would be Bischoff and Heenan. And again, I forget. I just know Bischoff got the second, and Shivani was the first, or at least alone. Maybe Bischoff came in, but either way, I agree. It makes it feel different. It just separates things. And listen, JR is clearly not what he once was. He's older. A lot of this is he's flubbing names, but like you said, even ignoring all that, even if he was perfect, bringing in a second announcer or a new announcer for a new hour just does give it a different, unique feel.
Yeah, this is working. And I don't mind if they keep this up, or even if they just decide to change the whole group on on Wednesdays to Taz, Excalibur, and Shivani. I mean, just changing it up, giving it a little breath of fresh air, and then you can change it a year down the line. Like I'm okay with that. But I like what they're doing right now. Also, Schlong, it's funny you mentioned the saying the wrong names and stuff like that. It's just so funny. I feel like we notice it, and it's called out more for wrestling and things like that. I swear, I was watching the Yankee game the other night while I was doing something. They were in Cleveland, and one announcer, and it wasn't an old guy, one of the guys on TV continuously said the Cleveland Indians. He just couldn't. I don't know if it was his protest and he didn't want to say Guardians or whatever, but the amount of times I heard Cleveland Indians out of one guy's mouth, and it seems like nobody cared. It's just so funny how it seems like in wrestling, one thing is flubbed and everybody's all over it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of forgiveness in that. Though sometimes I think JR gets it worse because he sometimes comes off as a crotchety old man.
Yeah.
And I think that bothers people. So I don't think he helps his case by appearing that way.
No, I'm with you there. Either way, this is a good look, I think, for this show now. So let's see if they continue with this or not. I think I saw something that, TK basically said, we're just playing around with it and, we'll see what happens. All right, but let's move on in the night. So in this second hour, we do get a match that wasn't announced earlier in the day, but we get Penta Oscuro and Roosh. And they've been building this story here, right? So there's clearly this issue between the Lucha Brothers and the Roosh, La Facción Ingobernables. I'm sure I just butchered that. And Schlong, I had seen earlier in the day or earlier in the evening that they said that I think this match was originally supposed to be a tag team, but they had changed it to a singles match because maybe Phoenix was dealing with a minor injury or a health issue. Maybe he just wasn't feeling well. Who knows? He was at ringside for this. And they've also been building these stories, right, where they were able to get Phoenix's mask off for a win. They ripped off Penta's mask after the Battle Royal where they had gotten eliminated, Roosh and Penta. And then in this match tonight, I mean, if you haven't seen Roosh from his Ring of Honor days, this was a pretty good showing. Roosh looked good. Penta, and Roosh have a history too, wrestling in Mexico. Cutting to the end of this match, Roosh does win by pinfall, but Andrade gets involved to put Roosh's foot on the ropes to break up pinfall, and then there is a low blow, and Penta's mask gets torn off again, and that's how Roosh gets the win. And then my favorite part of this Schlong is as they're exiting, right? So Roosh has the mask, and the referee's sort of looking around like, "Hey, did you take his mask off?" And he drops the mask and raises his hand. He's like, "I don't have his mask." And Andrade picks it up and puts it in his coat, and he's like, what I don't have a mask. It was so funny to me. But listen, I like this feud. These guys all know each other, and Roosh is awesome. Phoenix and Penta are awesome. Andrade is awesome. So when this tag match does eventually happen, I think it'll be a lot of fun. But I thought this was a nice match for the night. Something that I didn't even know was happening until it actually was happening.
Yeah, no, I didn't know this was happening either. It was a lot of fun. Those two can really go. Kind of glad it wasn't a tag match. I feel like that tag match deserves more press, a little bit more lead up, but it was a really fun match. Good way to let people see how good Roosh is. Yeah, it's a fun story, and I like Andrade with Roosh, so that works even better. So
yeah, I'm okay letting them build this faction and this story. And you never know, Schlong, who else might show up in that faction. And now we've got another trio, right? Who can vie for trios belts at some point. So a lot of, again, for our comrade who's not here, a lot of spoons in the porridge when it comes to factions and triples belts. We do get a Death Before Dishonor ad and a promo from Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt about how he's going to beat Samoa Joe and win the Ring of Honor World Television Championship back. So we know that we're getting that at Death Before Dishonor. That should be a very entertaining match. It's all also fun, Schlong. I love these videos with the three of them. Dutt, Jay Lethal, and oh my god, I can't remember the big guy's name now.
Satnam
Singh, that's it. Because it's so funny. They're shooting them from below, so clearly Satnam Singh looks gigantic. The guy's already gigantic. It's comical. He looks like he's standing on a ladder over those two guys. It's so funny. But Sanjay Dutt is just so really good at cutting these promos. So is Jay Lethal. And this match should be really good at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So
looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, if you are in the Lowell, Mass area, you should certainly check it out. Ring of Honor shows are a lot of fun. And I think we said it last week. Now that they are part of the TK sort of family, the production, all that stuff, on TV is better, but the show will be just, fantastic. So if you are in the Lowell, Mass area and you can get to that show, you should certainly try to. They said, I think tonight tickets go on sale Friday for that pay-per-view in a couple weeks. Schlong, this is the second part that you want to talk about tonight. We see Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese again backstage trying to get signatures from the best friends in Orange Cassidy for the petition to remove Shane Strickland from the roster. But Orange Cassidy says he doesn't sign anything without his lawyer reading it. That's when his lawyer enters, Danhausen, who rolls up to read the contract. But we do get some shenanigans. Orange Cassidy says, he's not going to sign it. And Nese says, how about I make you sign it? So we now set up Orange Cassidy and Nese for Rampage. And if Tony wins, Cassidy will sign the petition. There was a nice little exchange at the end, Schlong, which I'm sure you liked as much as I did, where Danhausen was just throwing out legal terms like out of order, objection, all that kind of stuff, just in response to anything that
my favorite, like, what was it, is objection, and then
sustained,
and overruled, and then Smart Mark said something, and Danhausen goes, hearsay.
Yep. Yeah. Just fantastic. And his tie that wasn't really tied around his neck. I thought that was a lot of fun.
This had me cracking up the whole, watching. I'm like, Jesus. Because I'm like, listen, I love this, actually, what they're doing with Danhausen right now, where it's just interact, kind of what they did with Orange Cassidy for a little while, which is a little bit of just kind of shows up wherever he wants to, does whatever he wants, and he's funny. And there's clearly something between him and Smart Mark. So there's a feud there, and I like that. So yeah, the whole the hearsay line cracks me up, because I was like, I thought it was over with the end. Hearsay. I'm like, the hell?
Yeah, it's fun, and it's great to see Danhausen. I think I said it maybe I said it here last week, but I definitely said it to Mrs. Money. You think Danhausen just wakes up every day and is like, God damn, how am I here?
100%.
Just gotta be unreal. for Danhausen, and in fact for anybody else who makes it to that level. But Danhausen just doesn't even need to wrestle. He's just worth every penny, if you ask me. Just doing the little vignettes and interviews and everything he does backstage. Also, Schlong, I enjoyed how when Smart Mark Sterling and Nice showed up, Orange Cassidy was facing Chuck and Trent, and like just high-fiving them back and forth. And then when Neeson and Sterling leave, he just turns back around and they just keep doing that, like just going back and forth, like with really light high fives. I just thought that was very funny.
Yeah,
Very
the
on
whole
brand.
crew was just great. I mean, you had funny. I hate to say it, like Nice has actually done pretty well in the comedy role. But between Smart Mark, Danhausen, Orange Cassidy, and the Best Friends, you had a very funny group right there.
Yeah, it's a really good group to be working on camera together. Also, Schlong, we don't talk dark a lot on this show because this would be an 8-hour epic if we did that. But interesting turn of events where I think Nice and Sterling were scouting Josh Woods on one of the darks. So maybe there's going to be something there with Josh Woods and Tony Nese, or maybe Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling are getting Josh Woods to sort of help with some of the pure stuff because Tony hasn't been successful with his pure matches.
Yeah, I mean, listen, until we know what's exactly going on with ROH, it's hard to figure out who's coming in for what. But Josh Woods is so good that I'm excited that they're going to use him in any capacity on any show.
Can you imagine if Josh Woods is signed, right, and he's working Ring of Honor? If they move Nese to Ring of Honor, him and Nese in a tag, or even in some sort of pure faction, would be awesome.
Amazing. So good.
Would be really good. There's a lot of ways they can go with it, but either way, a fun segment. And then Schlong, we get into some drama for the night. The Ass Boys and the Acclaimed are tagging against Bear Country, Fuego del Sol, and Leon Ruffin. And coming out, we're getting ready to do the rap, and the Ass Boys take the mic from Max Caster. We don't get an Acclaimed rap tonight in Rochester. They go right into the match. They don't really want to tag the Acclaimed in, but they start to tag in Bowens. They're pretty much avoiding Caster. And cutting to the end of this, Caster is able to get tagged by Bowens for the mic drop. Well, Austin Gunn tags himself in, so the mic drop gets hit. Caster can't make the pin, so Austin makes the pin to win on Bear Bronson. And post-match, the Guns attack the Acclaim, but Billy runs in to pry them off and says, "I told you guys to knock it off." And that's when Billy turns on the Acclaimed to wipe Max Caster out with a lariat. And then Bowens is able to get to his feet. He asks for a scissor, but Daddy Ass does not comply. He gives a famouser instead. And then Austin mockingly scissors fingers with Bowens. So, Schlong, sort of the end of an era here. The Ass Boys Acclaimed pairing, it looks like it's officially over. Again, it was probably a convenience thing while Bowens was working on his knee, right? We put them together, and now we move them on to separate things again. But after last week, I think we thought that Daddy Ass was going to side with the Acclaimed. Guess not.
My heart breaks. I knew this was how it would end eventually, but I thought we'd have more time. But I mean, listen, it gets the Acclaim to be faces, which I think they want, because the faces, they're getting cheered. I mean, there's you can't deny that's what happens when they walk in. It makes sense. Everything here made sense. It's a first feud for the Acclaim as faces. Something for the Ass Boys to do. It gave us weeks of, in my opinion, not in Kate's, but in my opinion, a lot of funny stuff. So I'm excited to see the Acclaimed as faces. I don't think they'll change a lot. I think they'll be pretty much the same people, except now they'll just feud with different people, and I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, and also the big thing for me here was great to see that Bowens was back in action. He did get a lot of action in this match, and it looks like he's feeling just fine. So good for him. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go. I guess we're going to have a blow off here between them and the Ass Boys, and that's where they'll make their final face turn, right? I mean, they're pretty much there, but this is where they'll make the turn. Just a disappointment. That poor Rochester crowd didn't get an Acclaimed rap.
Yeah, I mean, how could they be denied?
I feel like I'd have to ask for my money back.
They better have been on Elevation or Dark and gotten a rap there.
God, you hope. You really do hope. We do get a Miro promo, Schlong, where he talks about differences between himself and Malachi Black, and he's going to destroy the gates of hell to get him because the Redeemer is coming, and he is enraged. So clearly the fallout from the Forbidden Door, Miro has not forgotten about it, and we're on a course between Malachi Black and Miro. That should be a lot of fun as we start to see that unfold. But then we move on to our women's tag match of the night. So we had Marina Shafir versus Thunderstorm. That's Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm. Let's cut to the end and then kind of run this back, Schlong. Thunderstorm does win by pinfall with a Spike Fire Thunder driver on Marina Shafir. No shenanigans after the match. I don't know, Schlong. This didn't really work for me, and we were talking a little bit before we got on the air about it, and to me, I feel like Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm were not on the same page at the start, but they worked through it. But I think the bigger part of this to me was, again, we sort of see how green Marina is. At times, it just looked like she was sort of off during this match and didn't really find her way back. I don't know. I'm just still, I know you are a little higher on Marina than I am. I'm not sold on Marina. She looks really rough to me in the ring.
So I was higher on her based on her Dark stuff. TV, it's been a bit of a letdown, to be quite honest. I know Thunderstorm is a great team name, but I won't lie, all it can make me think of was in the movie Ted, Thunder Buddies. And that's all I could think of all I could think of is fuck you, Thunder. I'm like, great, that's all I needed for that match. I don't know what they're doing with Thunderstorm. Be a waste to just only give him the one shot with that name. But yeah, Marina's been a bit of a letdown on the TV. She's been better on Dark and Elevation. I don't know. Maybe she just doesn't have good chemistry with Thunder Rosa or any of them. I don't know. But it was what it was. It was a tag match. It existed. It was in the 9:30 spot. So it was a typical women's thing that they give on Dynamite, and they give us nothing more.
I will say this. It seemed like they did give them more time than it seems like they did, they have in prior weeks. Now, I could be wrong. If you run back and look at, how much time this actually got, maybe it didn't. Maybe it's gotten the same exact amount of time. It felt longer tonight. It felt like a big match. They gave it a big match feel that was a feud that's been building, but again, it just didn't work for me, man. Like, it started off rough and there were some rough points in the middle, and we got to the end, right? But yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that they need to slow down with Marina. They seem to push her right onto TV and sort of in these big spots, and to me, it's just not working. Maybe you hope that, in some things they're green, but they'll sort of rise to the occasion. I haven't seen it from Marina yet. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have nothing. She just hasn't lived up to it on TV. It's been disappointing.
Well, Schlong, we go into a segment we also have to talk about tonight. Shivani backstage with Jade and Stoke. And Jade tells Tony to cut the shit, and she asks Stoke what that was about last week, and he says he's hired Layla Gray as an interim baddie. And it takes a special kind of finesse to get someone to go from wanting to beat your ass to save you. And like he says, trust the process. He said it only cost her $1,100 to help out and to join up. That's what it cost to save Jade. Schlong, the reason I say we need to talk about this is because I just need to know, where is Sonny Kiss.
So, a couple things here. First of all, Mark Quill, I do want to acknowledge he gave us the times for the women's match. It was 3:56 for picture in picture, 2:46 in picture in picture, and 2:23 for the rest of the match after the break. So it's a 10-minute, not quite a 10-minute match, give or take. Not awful, but when a lot of it's in picture, it hurts worse.
Yeah.
And when it's
maybe it just felt
that,
maybe it just felt longer because it was not good.
Yeah, it was a punishment of the match. And when it's always them, it's worse. Like, it's always the women.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Wear a sunny kiss. Now, my hope here is maybe that's what they're setting up, is that, like, Jay doesn't like whoever Stokes bringing in, and then all of a sudden Stoke brings in Sunny, and it's like, boom, this is what works. But all I can say is, as a Sixers fan, I really appreciated the trust the process line.
Well, I mean, that's a long time saying you've been hearing trust the process.
It is owned by the Sixers fandom.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying you've been hearing that for a long time. So not a surprise that was your favorite line. I'll throw it out there again, folks. I really think Sonny Kiss should be part of this faction. You should probably let Stoke know on his socials. Get at Stoke. Tell him the Mark Order sent you. And that we want to know where's Sonny Kiss. Get him in this goddamn baddies. Please. Please, it's perfect. I don't know what else to do. I
got nothing to add to that. That's why I'm just saying.
I know.
You're right.
I'm not even asking you to say anything. It's just like I'm at a loss for words. What more can we do? How can we make this happen? Get at Stoke. Tell him at Mark Order Pod said to get fucking Sonny in this. I love that
we really think Stoke has the control on that one.
Listen, he's the PR guy. He's pulling the strings. Get it to happen, Stoke. Come on, man.
That's fair.
We also get we get news that Daniel Garcia is going to face Wheeler Yuta at Death Before Dishonor in a pure title match. And we get a promo from Garcia. He says last week he put a foot on Yuta's neck and there was nothing he could do. He's not scared of anything. And at Death Before Dishonor, he wants a title shot for that pure championship. So we're going to get that at Death Before Dishonor as well. So that card is sort of shaping up nicely. And we get another nice promo backstage from FTR. And they cut a promo about how no match has taken more out of them than winning the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships at Supercard of Honor. Some people still don't think they're the best, and that bugs them. So they want the Briscoes versus FTR 2 at Death Before Dishonor to show who is really the best team in the world. Top guys out. Schlong, give it to me.
I'm not going to fight you. Give it to me.
It's just... That's awesome.
Give it to me. Give me that phone. That's sweet. That is. Sorry.
Or it could be Batista. Give me what I want. Just give me what I want.
Oh God, yeah.
Terrible promo. So yeah, that looks like it could be fun. I don't know if they've officially announced that one yet.
I think it's official.
But it's official. They're gonna how can you say we want the Briscoes FTR 2? You know what I'm saying?
Electric Boogaloo.
Boom. So after that, we're into our main event of the night, and they let us know they're going to stick with this as long as they need to. It's Moxley versus Brody King. This is Mox's first defense of the interim AEW World Championship. So Schlong, I was expecting this to go 45 minutes.
Wait. Did we miss a promo somewhere in the show? I think we missed a great promo somewhere in the show, unless I literally zoned out.
What are you talking about?
Did we talk about Miro?
Yeah.
Wow, I really missed you covering that.
You zoned right out.
Listen, I'm gonna let everyone know, because I said this to you beforehand. My nephews came over tonight, so while I had this show on, I missed large parts of it. So on my phone, I am reading live reviews of the show to try to jog my memory as to what I saw. Like, I saw the entire Danhausen thing. I saw the Stokely thing. and I saw the Miro promo. Like I remember those three things very well.
Well, the Miro promo was good, and my point was it's going to be great to see where this leads with Malachi Black and Miro, because the series of matches will be really good.
Yes, I thought the promo was amazing. The way he talked about like, basically his Redeemer versus the Malachi Black guy, But again, I must have been looking hard at my notes at that point trying to figure out. I readily admit what I'm doing right now. I missed so much of this show. I didn't miss it. It was on. I was sitting in front of it. I was just answering asinine questions.
Who's this guy? What does he do?
Well, when Roosh came out, I was like, does he wrestle in that? No. Well, does the other guy wrestle in his mask? Yeah. All right. So why does one guy wrestle in his mask while another guy doesn't wrestle in his mask? I had to explain that. Because, just saying that one does and one doesn't did not provide the answer that they wanted.
Right. Well, it's not going to make sense to everybody, I guess.
No, apparently not.
Well, Schlong, main event, Moxley versus Brody King, the first interim AEW World Championship defense for Moxley. Let's cut to the end and then talk a little bit about this. Moxley does win by referee stoppage with the Bulldog choke on Brody King to retain the interim championship. That is really boiling it down to the finish, because if you didn't see the rest of this match, you missed one hell of a match. It really had everything. King really was able to show his power by stunning Moxley a few times. I mean, it really had everything you could ask for. Really hard hitting, some technical work out of Moxley. Clearly that Bulldog choke was enough to get it. But Brody King kept powering back through sort of everything through this match. So I thought for Brody King, again, not thinking that he had a shot to win this title tonight, it was still a very good showing for him in a main event on regular television. I thought this was fantastic. And it wasn't even something like, hey, I thought I needed this. But again, it's like Moxley Brody. So like, sure, why would I have never thought about this? But I loved it. I thought it was a really good match, and it delivered on the promises that it's going to be a hard-hitting, sort of knockdown, drag-out fight.
Okay, so I have a question for you, because
Yeah.
I did see a lot of this. This is something I saw a lot of, having just admitted. So I get to know some more intricate details. And there's a part of the match where Brody King chokes out Moxley, but he's in the corner and he's on the rope, so you got the ref count. But then Moxley apparently is out, and you have, I think it was Excalibur, maybe JR, being like, I don't blame people if they think this match should be over, but it's like, what did you think about that spot? Because that was a weird spot to me.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily think that like Mox was out. Like they were saying like he's out, like this should be over.
Yeah,
I didn't think he was out, so it didn't really, I didn't really think that, but I did think, I was like, oh man, he's putting the same sleeper the way he did on Darby on Mox. What was interesting to me is he only took to the 2 count of the referee to break it. Like, when you think I'm the heel, I'm working heel, like they should take till 4 3/4. You know what I mean? Like, and then just drop him. So he gave up on it pretty quick.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, because I guess my problem was what you said. Like, I didn't think he was out. The commentary was the one that I'm like, wait a minute, that changes that whole
yeah
move. Because you go from that was awesome to, did he just win this match essentially?
Yeah, he never looked out to me. So it was nothing that I even thought about, like the match should have been over there. I think they were just trying to play it up, like how powerful Brody is and that sleeper hold and how good he is at it. It just sort of set him up for the Cannonball Senton, right? Which is such a crazy move to see a guy his size do. But yeah, I mean, Schlong, for the match and the outcome, the way it went, the way we thought it would. I mean, I thought again that this was a great showing for Brody. He looked really good, and he did come off as like a monster.
Oh yeah, he comes out. he lost, but he doesn't lose. Like, he comes out looking great. He went against Mox, and Mox is perfect because no one questions what level Mox is at. So when you lose to him, it's not like, well, you know that even without the belt, Mox was considered one of their best, and even with the belt, he is. So and a great style for Brody, because Mox is a hard-hitting, violent guy. So it's not like, I think it's sometimes harder for like a guy like Brody if he loses to, say, Rey Fenix. That's tougher because you're like, it's always like it was always kind of the Rey Mysterio issue of like, how far can I take my believability, and then this guy winning. Mox, you don't have that issue because you know that Mox is a violent psycho. So Brody looked amazing. He comes out looking awesome. I will laugh. One of my nephews sees him and goes, "I love him. He is my favorite. He is amazing." Just because he looked like an idiot. He looked insane. Not an idiot. He looked insanely insane. If you see that man, you're like, holy shit.
He's got a great look, covered in tattoos, comes out with the chain, with the bandana over his face, and the knit cap. It's just a great look for him all around. The other thing too I failed to mention was they had Regal on commentary for the match. And again, Regal just adds so much on commentary for these matches too, because he was talking about how concerned they were with the sleeper hold and how powerful Brody is and how he's mastered that sleeper hold. So again, they've really built him up as a worthy opponent and somebody that they were scared of. So it was just, I thought they pulled this off great all around. Short build out of nowhere, and it worked. So the interesting thing's now going to be, Schlong, is what do they build for Mox, right? Because they have to have this title defended until Punk gets back, because this is your championship. So they've got to build something up for Mox. I don't know where they're going to go from here. I think everything with the Jericho Appreciation Society they're not involved with. They've moved on. We don't really have anything that the Blackpool Combat Club is involved with. And I maybe would have said House of Black, but I guess not, because they're going to be maybe more involved with Miro, so I don't know where they're going to go with Moxley, and it's interesting because now they pretty much have a blank slate. They can just do whatever they want to do. Any ideas, Schlong? Like where do they go with?
I really don't, because the thing here is they're not lacking for options in the sense of they have no one who's at that level. They have plenty at that level. It's who are they going to put? Like you said, if they had put Malachi Black, I would have been like, fine. But it's very clear he's going to go against Miro. They do have some injuries, which has hindered them a bit. But even still, I don't know, which I'm loving right now. I won't love it if it lasts longer, but I'm okay with it right now, where it's like you have options. If I go through that, we go through that roster page, there's a lot of really good wrestlers there. They're not going to struggle to put someone and be like, oh, this is the guy that's at that level. You just won't. There's so many of them.
Yeah, it's it will be interesting to see where they go. And I think from this show overall tonight, right, we're sort of now moving forward with a lot of stories. So you needed a show like tonight. I think a lot of people might be like, this show was like meh, very mid. But I think when you take a step back and look at it from what they're doing with stories, this was a very necessary show, right? They're still got a thing going on with, Jericho and Eddie. We've got a thing heating up between, Tay and Thunder Rosa. We've got Miro, Malachi. They set up a lot of stories moving forward now with the fallout from Blood and Guts and Forbidden Door. So, it's going to be really cool to see where everything goes. Next week in Savannah, Georgia, they're doing Fyter Fest. I don't think I knew that, Schlong, before tonight. I think they really just kind of announced it tonight. But Fyter Fest will be next week. We know that we're going to get Claudio versus Jake Hager. So that's one of the matches they announced. And they announced that we're going to have the Young Bucks versus Team Taz versus Swerve in Your Glory for the for the AEW Tag Team Championships. So we'll see how the rest of the card rounds out for Fyter Fest next week. And then we're sort of starting to get into Ring of Honor. Now, Ring of Honor, they've sort of kept this all separate, mentioning it on TV because clearly Ring of Honor doesn't have TV. But even that, they're sort of lining that up to be a nice card. We talked about it before. We're going to get the Pure the Pure title, Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia. We're going to get the TV championship, which is, oh my God, Samoa Joe versus Jay Lethal. There's a lot of interest there. And then there's the tag match, which hasn't been official, but it's official. You're going to get FTR versus the Briscoes for their second match. So a lot of really nice stuff coming up from AEW. It'll be interesting to see where it plays out. And to be honest, Schlong, don't have a lot of news and notes from the week because it seemed to be a pretty quiet week after Blood and Guts and Forbidden Door and a very busy week in AEW. So unless you have something, Schlong, we can start to pull this train into the station.
I'm just going through the roster and I can't. No one, like I said, they have the talent, but no one's sticking out to me. It's like, oh, this has to be the next guy. So, well, Brandon Color. So there you go.
Ooh, that could be a good one. Well, either way, that's been Dynamite. We talked about Rampage. We're going to come back next week and talk about Fyter Fest and everything going on in the world of AEW. But until then, you can make sure to check us out in all of our other activities. As we said before, we'll plug them. They're not here, so I don't have all the details, but obviously you can catch Millionaire Matt Monday nights on the Shining Wizards podcast, or the Shining Wizards. I don't know why I call it the podcast, but the Shining Wizards every Monday night at 6:50, 7 o'clock. They do great interviews. Great interviews, a lot of fun, a lot of great segments on that show. If you have not checked out the Shining Wizards, you certainly should. It's wrestling talk and talk about wrestling. So that's all you need. Also, you can check out everything Kate's doing. Follow her on Instagram and everywhere else, and you can see where she's going to be. She does like 8 different podcasts. She does the NXT post show. She does a Friday night SmackDown and Rampage post show, and she does everything else in between. So make sure you're following Kate on her social to see where she's going to be next. Hopefully we have her back here next week. And Schlong, tell the people where you're at when you're not here on Wednesday nights.
Mostly on Monday and Tuesday, you can find me live tweeting Elevation and Dark at Mark Order Pod. And then you can interact with me there the rest of the week. I'm always up for a good conversation, as long as it's not something bad or annoying, being like I don't deal with over negativity. I don't want to shit on people. I'm looking for fun wrestling conversations. So come to me with fun wrestling conversations. Oh, and so Schlong and good night.
Thank you. So make sure you're following Schlong on our Twitter at MarkOrderPod. And as we said before, anywhere you find us on social, it will be at MarkOrderPod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all those places. If you're following us on one, just click our link tree and get the links to all our other socials where you can give us a follow. It helps us out. And you can also request your free Mark Order podcast stickers. Just send us, click that link, give us your name, your full mailing address, and the country you live in, and we'll get them out to you for free ASAP. We thank the crew who was watching us live tonight on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Asian Joe, Gordon Post, Mark Quill, DJ Duke, and everybody else, Rob Humphrey, anybody else I'm forgetting, I apologize. It's not easy to scroll back through this entire list. But we thank you for watching us here live tonight. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, we 100% appreciate you as well. Wherever you're listening to us in podcast form, be sure to give us a subscribe, rate, review, anything you can help us do on those platforms. It goes a long way. Even though you think it doesn't, it certainly does. So make sure you do that. But if you haven't ever checked us out in video form, you should certainly do that. Go to our YouTube. All of the videos live there. And you can see all of Schlong's backgrounds, wherever Kate is on a given week, whatever house or cardboard box she's broadcasting out of. Check it out. It's a lot of fun in video form. But other than that, nothing else to promote. So Make sure that you check us out next week. We're a couple weeks away from episode Sexy 69. But Schlong, we'll be back next week to talk about Fyter Fest here on the Mark Order Podcast on the Shining Wizards Network.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.